Welcome back. Well, today we have an interesting topic. I think it's a topic that perhaps has been on the minds of a few of you, especially regarding the Norway, what's happening there. We know that on our last video we talked about Jehovah's Witnesses, their news on their site, and they said that they're being discriminated. What do they say there? Let's just look at it here. They're saying Jehovah's Witnesses to appeal an unconstitutional ruling in Norway. So they feel it's unconstitutional, the ruling. And they even talked about here, unless we change our practices regarding the removal of unrepentant wrongdoers. That's not what this is about, folks. This is nothing about them changing their practices. They can do what they want. What it is about is they do not meet the criteria for child welfare. You know, how children are viewed. This is what's happening. So they're not telling their people the whole thing, the whole truth, just part of the truth. So a lot of us are wondering, well, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen next? You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses have a lot of lawyers, so they just keep appealing it and appealing it. And that's what they do. They spent $500,000 US on this Risdal in Norway. So that's kind of an interesting amount of money to spend. In Norway, they said it was about 4 or 5 times higher than the going rate. That's how much money they spent. Well, let's take a look at Jehovah's Witnesses here. Let's see what they are doing here in with Ben Elders. Now, here's that guy, Ben Elders. If you haven't heard of him, he's in charge of the European movement, I guess, for Jehovah's Witnesses. He's the guy that's I really don't know who he is. The judge asked him who he was, and you're going to notice that I'm only going to play about a minute of this, and he gets out what it's all about. It's all about money. It's the first thing that comes out of his mouth. And the judge asks him what his educational background is, because you and I know that Jehovah's Witnesses do not encourage higher education. So here they have all these members. They're trying to get him out there. So he says to the judge, he says, "I'm an office manager." And the judge says, No. I want to know what education you have. Are you a lawyer? "Oh, no, I'm not a lawyer." "Well, do you mind me asking, what education do you have?" And Ben Elders goes, I'm tradesperson. Now, I'm not sure if he said from Belgium or if he's a welder. Belgium or a welder. I'll let you decide. He's a tradesperson. And he's going to bat with all the legal institutions, lawyers. Here's a tradesman. Welder? Or is he from Belgium? Now, some say he was a window washer. I've had different reports. I don't know really what he is. He mumbled. This is what's interesting. Okay, well let's take a look at Ben Elders, and here he is.
Could you also tell us a bit about yourself and what position you have and background?
Yes, my name is Ben Elder. I currently live in Germany, originally from Scotland. My background is I've been one of Jehovah's Witnesses for probably longer than I remember. I was baptized when I was about 13. And currently my role is I'm director of an office called the Freedom of Worship office that's based in Germany.
I didn't quite get the name of the office. The director of
Freedom of Worship.
Freedom of Worship.
And in conjunction with that, one of my roles is a representative of the European Association of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay. Do you have a legal background?
I don't.
You don't. What kind of professional background do you have?
The role I have is a director of this office, so an office manager.
Yeah, but you have an educational background?
I was a tradesman, actually,
Okay.
in building.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honour. Now, we want to express our grave concern with the decisions of the County Governor and the Ministry of Children and Family Affairs to deprive Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway of state grants and, most importantly, registration as, in other words, Jehovah's Witnesses are a Holocaust victim group. So accordingly, Jehovah's Witnesses throughout Europe and the world were shocked when the County Governor and the Ministry disparaged their entire religious community.
Okay, we won't put you through too much more of that. But you notice, here's this guy, Ben Elders, and they were shocked, because of all of this. Well, I don't think it's that shocking anymore to the world. In fact, other parts of the world are referencing Norway. Japan's referencing Norway. New Zealand's referencing Norway. Everyone around the world has been watching this. And we're going to look at this. Jehovah's Witnesses have been successful with appeals. Now you think of it, they're going to go to the European Union and they're going to cry human rights, and we're Holocaust victims. We ran some videos on that, by the way. They're at the very bottom as far as Holocaust victims. Very, very bottom. The bottom. It's an interesting topic. They cry that all the time. And there was 1,400 died in that Holocaust. And there was 45 million Jews. I think my numbers might be off there. It could be 45 million Catholics. I don't know. But there was a lot of people that died in that Holocaust. And they keep bringing that up like they're big victims. But they're on the very bottom of the list as far as numbers go during that time. So that was one of that seems to be their big argument, is you guys are all picking on us. We're going to be embarrassed. We can't marry anymore. But you notice the first thing that came out of his mouth was the grants. It's the money, folks. It's the money. Religions are making a mitt full of money off you and I, the taxpayers. And unless the religions are out there looking after orphans and widows, setting up hospitals, nursing homes, and things like that, they're not fulfilling the scriptures. And Jehovah's Witnesses is the only religion that does not do anything like that. Now, if there's a hurricane or something, they'll go down and hand out some bottled waters and fix a couple kingdom halls and a few houses here or there. And they'll take the insurance money. So it's one of the wealthiest religions in the world. And what's dangerous about this religion is it puts itself out there like a religion. It's out there doing humanitarian things. It doesn't. They put in writing on their website, we do not look after orphans or widows. We don't do that. We don't do what the Bible says in James 1 and 29. We don't do that. We don't follow that part of the Bible. That's not what we do here. We make children ring doorbells right from infancy. But that's not in the Bible. It says only few would be preachers and teachers. Few. It didn't say many. Few. But all the children have to ring doorbells. Everyone in that organization has to be a minister. You see, this is abuse of children, forcing them to do that, forcing blood restrictions, medical procedures upon its members. And if they don't follow through with it, they're shunned. Let's say you didn't agree with blood transfusions, you walk away. You say, I don't agree with that abstination. I'm not going to put death over life, because Jesus put life over death. It's always life over death. You can break laws to save lives. Sometimes laws have to be broke to save lives. But you see, this blood thing isn't a law. It's not even looked at properly. Paul said it's a conscientious thing. So there's so many things, folks. The shunning. There's an estimate around 1 million ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that have left are probably shunned, all shunned. 1 million have left that organization. A third leave when they come in, a third leave. The recruits that they bring in. They lose them. The children, they're all leaving. They're not staying in because of these policies. So they have to stop. This is what we're doing as activists. We're working to help bring an end to this. And we're doing the same thing here in Canada. If you don't already know, we have a petition link in this video, in all our videos. And hit it. We've already taken that to our MP. We're just planning a road trip all across Canada to make this known to all the right people. So we're going to take a look here for a moment what Jerome says. And Jerome is from Preach from the Housetops, and he did a really good article on Norway's verdict. Will it stand in the European Court? Expert says. They say it will. The experts are saying this will stand. Now, if you don't know who Jerome is, he's Preach from the Housetops. He has a YouTube channel and a blog. So he did a really excellent job and on this. So we're going to highlight it here. I'll blow that up for you guys. I think you can see that. Okay. So Jehovah's Witnesses, few Norwegian religious communities need to worry after Jehovah's Witness verdict, according to legal expert Vibeke Blaker Strand. It will not trigger an avalanche of new cases. So this could be some of the concerns, is that other religions are worried. They're worried, well, what if it happens to us? They're saying no. This is a Jehovah's Witness problem. None of the religions have this problem. Let's take a look at what these experts are saying. Expert Professor Vibeke Blaker Strand believes the Jehovah's Witness verdict will stand up in the European Court of Human Rights. Unlike human rights expert Dag Øystein Endsjø, I don't know if I said his name right, but there's a couple of guys here talking. So it is completely in line with the new Religious Communities Act, which involves stricter regulations of religious communities than before, says Vibeke. Now, this is a professor at the Department of Public Law at the University of Oslo. So Jehovah's Witness filed a lawsuit against the state 2 years ago after being deprived of state subsidies and registration as a religious community. On Monday, the state was acquitted in the Oslo District Court. In Vartland, human rights expert Øystein Endsjø has been critical of the verdict, and he has pointed out that it is particularly serious to deprive a religious community of its registration. Both Austria and Russia have already been convicted in the European Court of Human Rights for this, so then Norway can only join the ranks of countries that have been convicted for not recognizing Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious community, he told the newspaper. Vibeke Blaker disagrees. She believes there's a significant difference between the cases mentioned and the current case in Norway. Far more invasive in Russia. This judgment does not deprive Jehovah's Witnesses of the opportunity to be a religious community and operate as they wish. This is only about being a publicly registered religious community, which gives them state support. So it's about the money, folks, state support, and then the right to marry, says Blaker Strand. Now, in countries like Russia, refusal to register is far more invasive, she points out. There, the activity of the Jehovah's Witnesses is prohibited. And according to the judgment, the Jehovah's Witnesses exclusion practice involves serious violations of the rights and freedoms of others. And through its guidelines and practices for exclusion, the court believes that Jehovah's Witnesses encourage to shun members who are ostracized or withdraw, so that with few exceptions, they are exposed to social isolation from those remaining in the community. And that's the case. That's why a lot of us speak out, because we're being shunned by family members, friends. We haven't done anything. Some have. It shouldn't matter. But many just walk away. Let's say they don't want to follow that blood doctrine. They choose to live. They don't want to carry a blood card around, and they're not going to hide the fact that they don't agree with it. Guess what? You are now ostracized. You are now not part of it. You have to walk away. Many do. And they're shunned. Is that right? You be the judge. Pass this video on. Share these videos that we put out. This is how we get our videos to more audiences. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You realize that 59% of our viewers out there are not subscribed, and therefore our channel stays small. This is for all of us ExJWs that are working at this day and night. And when you're not subscribed, we don't have the proper amount of subscriptions on there. Our YouTube doesn't reach out to farther audiences, so our channels, they stay small, and we reach fewer people. And to support us, watch the video right through and the commercials. That's how we get paid. YouTube pays us. We're not asking you guys to contribute anything. But if you watch it right through, that's how we get paid. A lot of our videos, we don't make much on them, $2. We spent hours on videos, we make $2. So it's really hard doing this work. For a lot of us, we're going to continue for a while. For a lot of us, we don't have other incomes, so it makes it more difficult. But when our videos are being watched and they are getting out there, our channels do make more money, and it makes it so that we can afford to do that without asking for contribution. Now, I know in our case, we're going to be going across Canada with this. And so if you can help us out, watch the videos and share them and subscribe. And that will help us out. That's all you have to do. Just a little bit of your time and see what we're doing here. But here's what's happening. This is what's happening. This is real stuff, folks. This is happening in the courts. And it's being challenged by other people because of this shunning. A million people shunning. I believe that if Jehovah's Witnesses had to pay out $10,000 per shunning case, it would break their company. That'd be like something like $25 trillion. It'd bust the company. It'd close the business, turn the lights off. And this is how bad this is, folks. This shunning is terrible. It's an open wound. It stays opened. It does not close until it's fixed. So people die. They live their life. They leave the organization. They have this open wound of shunning. And it's raw, and because they can't communicate with any of their friends. So they never move forward in life. And this is how destructive this religion is. It's causing all kinds of mental breakdowns, suicides, violent acts are happening. Look at what's happened in Germany and in India. Violent acts are happening back to the kingdom halls. So this is why this has to be addressed by the governments. It has to be taken serious. And yeah, it's happening. So let's read on here. This is Dag Øystein, is a professor of religious history at the University of Oslo, this guy here. And he does not think the recent judgment will stand up in the European legal system. Critical. He's at the top, eh? So let's carry on. Generous arrangement. Jehovah's Witnesses were deprived of grants and registration to the new Religious Community Act, which entered into force January 1st, 2021. With the new law, the state wants to give some signals to religious communities, as Blaker Strand sees it. And in the past, we have had generous financial support schemes that does not make demands on religious communities, but over time, greater attention has been paid to children's and women's rights. And we know that women have no rights within JW.org. Now, with the new law, the authorities must prevent the state from supporting practices that go too far in violating rights of individuals. And when I say the women don't have rights, there's no women that sit in these elders' meetings and that have a say. So yeah, they don't have rights. Now, according to the Religious Community Act, the state can therefore refuse grants and registration to religious communities. For example, when you violate children's rights, that Jehovah's Witnesses are stripped of their registration, denied state funding is just a natural consequence of the direction that Storting has taken. And it's really biblical. This is really a biblical stand, because when you commit crimes to children, you're going to have to deal with the government. It's just like if someone breaks into the Kingdom Hall, a crime is committed, they're going to have to deal with the law, you see? So this is what's happening. It's putting out a message there to all the religions, not to break crimes. Now, religious taste police. The editor-in-chief, Dagan, has on several occasions spoken out critically about the new Religious Communities Act. He believes it gives the authorities an unpleasant opportunity to act as religious taste police and then punish religious communities financially. He therefore believes that Jehovah's Witness case is of fundamental importance. It is not difficult to imagine that other religious communities with teachings and practices that are disputed in an increasingly secular society will also be affected, he wrote in a comment a couple of years ago. And Blaker understands that the verdict may cause unrest in several religious communities, but believes that very few have cause for concern. The case of Jehovah's Witnesses is an extreme point. It is, among other things, about negative social control of children. And it is something other than conservative interpretations of religious texts. And I therefore do not believe that this will trigger an avalanche of new cases. And with this judgment, there shall still be room for a conservative religious community. So the Jehovah's Witness trial, this kind of goes over it. You know, the dispute, the verdict was handed down, the state was acquitted. The district court concluded the conditions are met for denying Jehovah's Witnesses state subsidies under the Religious Communities Act, and that the decisions are valid. So she says, I think the state has a good case. Jehovah's Witnesses have not yet decided whether they will appeal the verdict to the Court of the Appeal, and I think they have now, since this article has been written. And should the case end up at the top of the legal system, Blaker Strand believes that the state has a good case. It is a judgment that will stand up in the European Court of Human Rights, she says. And she believes that the ECHR will look closely at the state's justification for the new Religious Communities Act. And in working with it, the authorities have discussed the importance of religious freedom for religious communities, but also the right of individuals. And when the legislature has considered what they think weighs most heavily, it takes a lot for ECHR to verify the state. And there are many examples of this. So we watched this all the way through. We followed it. We have a lot of videos on this. We have a playlist called Norway. And the objective criteria. The government attorney is satisfied that the district court has acquitted the state. The court attaches particular importance to the fact that the exclusion practice violates children's rights. So I think that was kind of it. The court points out that it's, it's doing the right thing, looking after children. So if you haven't already written your letter to your MP, Letters for Change, that's what we're promoting. We have it in a description in our videos right below. Just click on it and it'll self-do a letter. Find your member of parliament if you're in Canada and the US. And that's what we're promoting here. So it's all about change. It's all about you and I voicing what's happened to us. We came out of that religion as victims. We still are victims. We're being victimized. Our human rights are being that's what we're standing up for, is our human rights. There should be no reason in today's age why we can't talk to our family members. Just because you left the religion, because you choose not to die. When it comes to a blood transfusion, you choose not to die, so you have to walk away from the religion. And now you lose all your family ties. And we as the taxpayers are supporting this religion. We're feeding it money, just feeding it money to exist. That has to stop, folks. That has to stop. And it's up to you and I. We came out of it. So we have a voice. And now's the time to raise it. Now's the time to put the pressure on. And the more we put the pressure on, the more this will happen all over the world. I'm confident. So thanks again, folks. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. And thanks to all of you subscribers and supporters out there. We really appreciate all of it. We do. Okay, well, that brings an end to our program, and until next time, keep living your day with love. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. We appreciate your comments, your dislikes, and your likes. If you would like to support the channel, just press join and buy us a coffee once a month. Until next time, keep dancing, smiling, laughing, and most of all, keep loving those around you. And have a great day.
Produced by Fixing My Faith.